Wow, so the freaking iPad turns off after 5 seconds and then it stops the recording, bro. So now it's just a new recording and I'm not joining them together. So it doesn't even matter, but okay, continue on. What is the hypophyseal portion? That's the venous portion that connects the hypothalamus to the anterior posterior pituitary. And wait, what the anterior pituitary lobe or whatever. Okay, so difference. So what's the difference? Okay, wait. So somatostatin is a inhibitory hormone. So when it's released from the hypothalamus, it'll prevent growth hormone, and TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, and then dopamine will prevent the release of prolactin. So what is the hypophyseal portal? Yeah, okay. Difference between tropic and non-tropic. So tropic is indirect. So tropic hormones will trigger another thing to release another thing. Non-tropic is direct. It'll go straight to the thing, straight to the effector, and do the effect. 3 examples of non-tropic hormones, 4 examples of tropic. So non-tropic, that is growth hormone, because it'll trigger the growth, prolactin, and MSH, melanin stimulating hormone. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, something like that. Yeah, melanocyte stimulating hormone, prolactin, and growth hormone. So those are the 3 non-tropic. That is pituitary. These are all peptide as well. Okay. 3 example. Okay, so now we're the 4 tropic ones. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Okay, I feel like it's easier to remember all of them as you build up the group. So I feel like it's good that I'm doing this. Why are my eyes so itchy? Okay, 4 tropic hormones. These are the non-direct ones. So what are some non-direct ones? TSH, FSH. What else is there? What were the other ones that were released by the hypothalamus? Then we could just build off from there. Bro, my eye is so itchy. Okay, wait. So there's GnRH, gonadotropin. Okay, so there's gonna be FSH. Oh, then there's gonna be LH. So that's 2. Then there's gonna be TSH. And then there's gonna be the CRH one, the ACRH or whatever. That's called ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. Okay, so TSH, ACTH, FSH, and LH. Okay, nice. What does the posterior pituitary do? Why does it sound like there's a B? Not too sure. Anyways, maybe we should talk about the effects of each peptide hormone from that thing. So ACTH, glucocorticoids will be released. TSH will release T3 and T4. Follicle will cause spermatogenesis or estrogen. Luteinizing hormone, testes to make testosterone, and then in females triggers ovulation, progesterone release. So follicle stimulating will do estrogen, luteinizing will do progesterone. Maybe I can impress the hus. JK. This guy. So what does the posterior pituitary do? It does not synthesize its own hormones. It is responsible for distributing the hormones that are made by the hypothalamus. So that would be, what are the 2 things produced by the hypothalamus? That's going to be oxytocin and vasopressin. So what does the pineal gland release? It releases serotonin. And what type of hormone it is? It's not a peptide. I believe it's an amino acid derivative. Amino acid. Let's freaking go, dude. Let's freaking go, buddy. Where are my glasses? Where is the amino acid? Yeah, it just releases serotonin. What 4 organs are in the brain? So what 4 endocrine organs are in the brain? Well, it's just the ones that we did. The hypothalamus, the pituitary, the pineal, and the pituitary counts as two. There's anterior, posterior, hypothalamus, head, pineal. Okay, we're making progress. 3 hormones that are made by the thyroid: T3, T4, and calcitonin. Is T3 and T4 considered different? Yeah. T3, T4, and calcitonin. So thyroxine is T4, tridoxyonine T3, and then calcitonin. Bro, my nose is so blocked, it's so dry. Tyrosine derivative hormones. Is my nose bleeding, bro? Okay, so tyrosine derivative hormones. These are thyroid hormones which are able to go through the cell membrane. Then there's calcitonin, which is a peptide hormone. So now what does each one do, you might ask? Okay, wait, so there's 3 hormones: T3, T4, which is thyroxine. Okay, what's crazy is I'm actually hypothyroid, so it kind of just makes sense to me now. So thyroxine is the T4 one, and because I'm right now on Synthroid, and I heard something about thyroxine, so it's kind of cool. I really don't know, like, what the heck. So does that mean I have, but I don't have swollen, like, they checked and I don't have swollen thyroid glands, so it's just like, I don't even know. Okay, so 3 hormones made: T3, T4, and calcitonin. What type of hormone is each? Calcitonin is amino acid derived, then thyroid, the T3 and T4, those are thyroid type, so they're like able to just go through the freaking wait, wouldn't they all be freaking, they're all amino acid derivative, I feel like, but it's just calcitonin is the peptide one, it just can't go in, and then thyroxine is the one that's like able to go through. Or thyroid, what the heck? Tyrosine derived hormones. So what does each one do? So T3 and T4, that's going to increase your body metabolism, that's going to increase your heart rate, that's going to just do that. So then calcitonin, that'll like tone down, calcitonin down the calcium blood levels in your body. So yeah, so what do we need for 2, 3, and 2, 4? You need iodine. Iodine is necessary. It's just like they combine and they get exported out. So you can have the precursors, T1, T2, those are going to join with the freaking iodines or whatever, and then it's going to be like, sheesh, we got T3 and T4. So what are goiters? Goiters are simple names for enlarged thyroid glands. So what causes them? Well, actually both hypo and hyperthyroidism cause that. Why? Why, you might ask? Well, I got you, bro. Hyperthyroidism is just when the thyroid gland is producing too much thyroid. So that kind of makes sense intuitively. If you're producing too much TSH, then you got too much big thyroid glands to produce that TSH. Now hypo, how does that make sense? Well, hypothyroidism is mainly caused by deficiency in iodine, because you can't produce T3 and T4, so you're not going to have iodine, and the body's going to be like, oh my god, we need more thyroid, we need more T3, and we need more T4. So it's going to keep on stimulating TSH till the thyroid gland is going to be like, yo, we need some more thyroid. But the thyroid's going to be like, yo, I can't do that, I got no iodine. But it's not going to be able to tell that, so then it's going to not produce thyroid, and then the freaking thing, the other thing will say like, yo, we need more thyroid, It's going to keep on saying TSH, and the thyroid is becoming big and fat, and it's like, yo, I can't make no thyroid though, I don't got no iodine. And then it's going to be like, it's just going to be thick, and then that's why you got a goiter. So what is released by the parathyroid gland? Well, you won't believe it, it's actually called the parathyroid hormone, which is released from the parathyroid gland. So what does the parathyroid gland do? Well, parathyroid is the opposite of calcitonin. So calcitonin down, this will up the calcium thing. So calcium freaking absorption and the calcium resorption. Bro, it's like resorption and reabsorption. Like, what the there has to be a different word, bro. But anyways, parathyroid gland, that'll do the opposite of calcitonin, so it'll increase calcium in the blood. How does it do this? So it'll do the opposite of, so it'll increase osteoclast cells. that'll break down the bone and release calcium. Vitamin D and phosphate are also somehow related to this, and I do not remember how. Converts vitamin D to its active form, which increases calcium reabsorption in the gut. Phosphate lowers blood phosphate levels and increases excretion from phosphate. So yeah. So now, what is the difference between resorption and reabsorption? That's a good question. I'm gonna ask the AI. Up a baby straight to wait. It says melatonin, not serotonin. What the heck? What the heck? Resorption is bone breakdown. Reabsorption is kidney to. Oh, okay. So one is related to the bone stuff, and then the other is related to the kidney stuff. What does the thymus release? The thymus releases thymus something. I don't remember the name. I don't have any money to pay. Oops, I don't have any money to pay you. Oops, you know, okay, no. Okay, so this is the lymphoid organ. This is where the thymosin. Thymosin. That releases the hormone necessary to mature the T cells. What is the adrenal gland divided into? So there's the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. So medulla, middle, cortex, coat, outside. Adrenal, there's the renal system. It's like on top of the kidneys. What are the different hormones? What are the different hormones made? 3 subs of steroid hormones. Okay, so there's 3 different types of hormones made by the adrenal gland, but they're different for the cortex and the medulla. So the cortex is going to make glucocorticoids. That's a guess. No, the cortex is going to make steroids. The medulla is going to make the glucocorticoids. Or am I wrong? Yeah, so I was wrong. Oh, it's the glucocorticoids are the freaking steroids. Oid. That's common sense, bro. Okay, so the cortex is going to make steroid hormones. These steroid hormones are called glucocorticoids. Now there's 3 different types of glucocorticoids. First type, what is it? Think. Use your little brain. Think. Use your smart brain. Okay. No, I was wrong. Glucocorticoids are not. Okay, so I was completely wrong. There are steroid hormones, and there are 3 subs. The 3 subs, there's one called glucocorticoids, another called mineralocorticoids, and the third being cortical androgens. So that is what are the 3 subs of the steroid hormone. So let's backtrack a little bit. We're on the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is made out of the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. The adrenal cortex makes steroid hormones, meaning that they're able to go through the cell wall and all that stuff, cell membrane, right? So now, what are the 3 subdivisions? There are subdivisions of. What are the 3 subdivisions of these steroid hormones? Well, first there's glucocorticoid, steroid. So glucocorticoids. Then there's mineralocorticoids. And then there's freaking cortical androgens. Why couldn't they just call it androcorticoids? Why, bro? Okay, so what do glucocorticoids do? These is cortisol and cortisone. They stimulate the gluconeogenesis in the liver, so increase blood glucose levels. And then, yeah, that's glucocorticoids. Then there's mineralocorticoids. That's aldosterone. And yeah, that's just aldosterone. And that's what's causing the kidneys to reabsorb more NaCl and excretion of K+. So that increases water retention, increases blood pressure. Then there's cortical androgens, which is estrogen and testosterone precursors. And it's just a small amount secreted. So now, that is why men and females have both sex hormones, just one has a lot more than the other. So let me just redo all this. Okay? We're at the adrenal cortex. Wait, what's the adrenal medulla? We still haven't even talked about the adrenal medulla. Oh, the medulla is pretty easy. This is just epinephrine and norepinephrine. I'm confident that. Yeah, okay, so let's just backtrack. So we got the adrenal gland, which is an organ in the endocrine system. Now, what is special about this gland? Well, there's two subdivisions. There is the adrenal cortex, the outer coating, and then there's the medulla, the inside, the middle. So what does each one do that is different that we need to separate? The cortex, that produces steroid hormones. Now there are three subdivisions of the steroid hormone. There's glucocorticoids, which are things like I don't know, there's just glucocorticoids, and those are responsible for increasing blood sugar levels. So glucocorticoids are cortisol and cortisone. That's what I missed. Now we move on to the mineralocorticoids. That's aldosterone. That is what causes mineral reuptake from the kidneys. And then there's the cortical androgens, and that's like freaking precursors to testosterone and estrogen. Boom. Okay, moving on. Oh wait, the medulla makes norepinephrine and epinephrine, which is used in the fight or flight response and all that BS. Okay, so what two functions does the pancreas have? I don't know, man. It's like endocrine and exocrine, I think. So it's both endocrine and exocrine function. Contains the islets of Langerhans. Ain't Langerhans cells? What the frick? Langerhans cells are in the skin, no? They do the freaking immune system or whatever? What the heck, bro? Who the hell is Langerhans, bro? Okay, anyways. So this will release peptide hormones. Peptide hormones? Peptide hormones. Okay, so now there's alpha and beta. Alpha cells in the pancreas will make glucagon. Insulin made by the beta cells. What do delta cells do? They release somatostatin. Remember back when we were talking about the hypothalamus? Well, this thing releases somatostatin as well, but in this case, it's inhibiting the release of insulin and glucagon. When compared to the hypothalamus, it was inhibiting the release of TSH and prolactin, I think. So what stimulates the sex organs? It's testosterone and estrogen. It's these two sex hormones, dude. Nope, I was wrong, bro. I was wrong. What am I gonna do? It's stimulated by FSH and LH. But I think I'm getting sick. What stimulates the sex organs? Follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. What is the purpose to all sex hormones? What is the precursor, I mean? They're all steroids. What two hormones does the ovaries produce? Progesterone and estrogen. What's the difference between them? So progesterone is used to like maintain the lining of the endometrium, like the early stages of birth. It also has a role in maintaining the menstrual cycle. Estrogen, however, that is responsible. Oh damn! I forgot to make questions for like the whole end part. Estrogen maintains the menstrual cycle and establishes the secondary sex characteristics, like testosterone for men. Prostaglandins are local signaling molecules with multiple functions. In the semen, they cause contraction of the uterus. Wait, what? That is weird. Placenta releases prostaglandins to excite the uterus to help induce labor, and then prostaglandins are also released in the immune inflammatory response, not by the mast cells, because the mast cells release histamines. But prostaglandins are released by something to relieve pain, and aspirin is used to remove that pain. So semen causes contraction of smooth. So wait, what? So if you freaking okay, I'm not gonna say anything. Then there's gastrointestinal hormones, which are not very part of the endocrine system. There's gastrin, which stimulates HCl, which stimulates pepsinogen to get to pepsin. There's CCK, and then there's also secretin. So secretin is responsible for the bicarbonate ions being produced by the pancreas. Then there's CCK, which will cause bile to be released from the liver, from the gallbladder, and then also digestive enzymes from the pancreas. Okay, that's all.